You can relax today, Ramesh. I need to make you host. I'll make you host.
Yeah, recording is on.
Yeah, there you go. Right, ladies, then. So it's 3 on 3. Hey, Vandana, I saw a bit of that video. You really stepped up in that breakout room, didn't you? Crumbs. I saw this really punchy, ballsy side of you in that. There you are, sitting quietly in the main group, get in the breakout room, and it's like, woof. Gosh, that's great. So I've just watched bits of those videos, might show little bits of them to draw some of the learning out of them. Might show you little bits more of the video with Leslie, not necessarily the whole thing, but there's some key bits, some key strategies in there. Maybe another one, just so that you have this ability to, this option to compare and contrast in the approach. So I'm curious what reflections you had on your experience yesterday and since then. What was a real takeaway for you from all of that?
Okay, I think for me, Sue, probably just just relaxing more and just giving it giving it a go, and actually just being okay with just being myself a bit more and just being a bit more direct. And I've got a good example for you this morning, if I'm all right to share it.
Oh, let's hang on till the others come, okay, so they can hear as well. But so you just can be just a bit more yourself, a bit more direct. Not fully, just
fully. I'm working towards fully.
Yeah, whatever you do, don't let yourself be fully yourself. But yeah, it's an interesting thing, isn't it, to explore that.
Yeah.
Why be anything other than fully yourself? I mean, I know that I can, I've got that experience myself. I think the whole time I was married, I wasn't fully myself. It took a divorce to become fully. Not supporting that for everybody, Vandana or anybody, because I know God will punish me if I say things like that.
However, too late, I've done it already.
What did you say, Nupur?
I said too late. The divorce is done in my case. So it's a little late.
Oh, right. Too late. You're going to be punished along with me.
Yes.
So I was just asking everybody, have you get that pencil out of your hand?
Oh, damn it. I just got out of work meeting, so it was in my hand, but I will put it away.
Because it stays in your hand. Do you ever let go of it?
I don't think I do, other than when I'm going to the restroom.
Well, you can now.
Yes,
Hold your hand. Could you keep your hands in view, please?
I'm throwing it away.
Right.
Gently, since it's an iPad.
Okay, so we have you potentially fully present.
What would that be like?
Well, I don't know. We're going to find out. Maybe.
Maybe.
Okay. So Helen's about being, fully just yourself. Yeah, it is a lesson in being the truth of who you are, just yourself. It sounds so straightforward, doesn't it? But that's the key. That's one of the keys anyway. How about for you, Dawn? What was the takeaway for you?
When I did the actual session, it took me a little while to get to become provocative. I was only about halfway through that I became provocative, and like Leslie was in my group, so that was really good. So she gave some great feedback, and so I think the lesson I took from that really was that I'm applying it in some way, but I didn't apply it quite in the way that maybe was intended. In this thing about being yourself, I actually quite like the way I applied it, but maybe, yeah, it's this thing about going further all the time, isn't it?
this thing about going further. What's this thing about going further?
Well, one of the patterns I've realised in this group, or since I started the Provocative, is how I take something so far. I take it so far, and then I'm like, oh, I've taken it far enough. So it's going that bit further.
Or even starting earlier.
I started at all.
You know, so like you waited till halfway through before you started. So you could try taking it further and starting earlier, and then you might find that you're provocative all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
To find out what it's like, you know.
Yeah.
Or you could set an alarm, you know, so you could set an alarm for like half an hour's time. I'll be provocative then. When the alarm goes off, I'll be provocative. And I'll just give yourself a timer for 2 minutes, and then you could stop again.
Yeah. I think, well, I think what it was, it wasn't so much a decision. It just happened, but I need to get it to happen earlier.
Yes, that seems like quite a useful strategy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you drive?
If somebody's in front of you and you've got...
I would stop digging now.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea.
Yeah. Do you drive?
Yes.
You passed your test?
Yes.
Wow. So when you took your test, did you sort of think, I'll switch on about halfway through this test, and then I'll pay attention to what I'm doing?
Well, interestingly, as a pattern, I took so many driving lessons. It was absolutely secured that I would pass.
Yeah, so everything needs to be tightly sort of practiced.
Yeah, I know. I know. Yeah, these are patterns that are being revealed to me.
Only now. How old are you?
I'm not going to say how old I am, Sue.
Oh, well, we just have to guess then in that case. But old enough, not just old enough to just do, or to really know what you like, what your patterns are.
I know.
How long will you wait until you know, halfway through life?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the question. So you know, Frank would say, how many good years do you think you've got left?
Yeah, I know.
No, I want an answer.
Oh, how many? Well, because I know you're going to half it, Sue. So I'm going to say 40. You can half it to 20.
40 good years left. So you must be about 50 now.
Yeah, 58.
58. Oh, so 40, 98. Wow. So if you start halfway between now and 98, so 40 good 20 years time, you'll be 78. Then you'll start, because that's the pattern, isn't it? Wait till halfway, and then you can start being provocative. Well, it's quite a good age to start being provocative, 78, but it does kind of mean you miss quite a few things in life that you could have been excited about before. You've got time to practice and get it all tied up unless of course you get dementia, you know, by then well, actually you can use that. I always reckon it's a good strategy with provocative, you know, that you can lose what you're saying, you know, and still pretend it's provocative. People will pay you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you talked to your partner? Have you talked to Paul, who we see every day when it comes on the screen, about this?
I have, yeah, he's not here at the moment. I'm like GK, I'm home alone. I did speak to him a bit about provocative last night. Yeah, I think people don't actually get it that on the course and stuff. He doesn't really get it.
He doesn't get it.
No.
But my you don't get it yet.
Yeah. But he doesn't get the idea of it even, you know.
Oh, well, yeah, that figures, you know. When you get it, he'll get it.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Oh, God.
He's quite stubborn, actually. I don't know.
Funny that, isn't it? What we choose in partners. Okay. Others. What was the takeaway for you? Pooja, you look like you're ready to say something.
Yes. So it's for me, I figured a lot about today whole day I've been practicing embodying Frank's style, and also of that interior designer, the way she speaks, the expressions and all that. So it's been a bit of a change day for me, breaking my own patterns in terms of how I just the whole day I've been playing around, and my husband is like, what's the change? I'm like, just go with it. Let's just go with it and see what happens. But it's changing a lot within me. So yeah, on the exterior, I'm being all jovial and all, but on the inside, there's a lot of reflection going on. There's a lot of change in my patterns that's going on.
Yeah.
So a bit reflective, quite a bit reflective today.
So reflective on the inside.
Reflective on the inside. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yes.
Experimenting with it. That's the key.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
With what effect?
So far, I've interacted with a bunch of people today over phone and on video, and the conversations have been going more smoothly, and I feel calmer being that way. And then after the conversation, I'm just like, giving myself a feedback and be like, okay, so what was different? What was I've noticed a change in language pattern, and I'm speaking more calmly than my usual, let's get in there sort of thing. But it's fun, and it's being very light. It's like the souffle, very light, a well-cooked souffle. That's what it's feeling like. Or fluffy pillows.
It's interesting because I think provocative often has a connotation of being a bit dynamic, and
yes.
And yet actually, you watch Frank, it is very considered.
Yes.
Everything's purposeful. So which is almost like a contradiction, really. But it's interesting that that's what you're finding.
Yes. Absolutely.
Because I was reflecting. I went cycling this morning, and I do a lot of reflecting when I'm cycling. And I was just reflecting on some of those key points that you were coming up with as a group at the end of yesterday.
Yes.
There's really key things, like you saying, Newport. Like if you're thinking about yourself, it's going to get in the way. If you're being self-conscious, it gets in the way. So to be present for somebody else, to be truthfully fully who you are, in the interest of somebody else, and to be able to let go of any self-consciousness. Because then almost no matter what you do is going to work in some way, I believe. There were some other key things that came up at the end of yesterday, but that was certainly one of them I thought was very significant. And I think you said, didn't you, Pooja, it's about being present. Absolutely, being present to what's happening in that moment.
Yes.
So my sense is like, you really getting a handle about knowing the things that make the difference, and you're actually experimenting with them, Pooja.
Yes, absolutely. Like previously, it's like my impression of provocative was, the Cadbury chocolate, the one that you put in your mouth and then it just bursts in, that sort of a sensation. And from yesterday's lessons and the insights that I had about the body language and embodying that, and also that interior designer, I was like, no, a soft souffle or a soft cream could also be provocative enough. Like Frank's very gentle approach, so it doesn't have to be popping everywhere, but it could be gentle yet effective and provocative.
That's the key. It's, you've just seen, well, unless you've been on a program I was showing any other videos, and you've seen me, with the style, my style, that he had a lot of incredible variety in his approach, incredible variety in voice,
Yes.
So like sometimes he would sing something, or he would speak very quietly, I'll maybe show you a bit of one where he becomes very serious and says something in a very serious way. So there's a lot of variety in his approach, which meant, he could catch you unexpectedly. You weren't going to get just the same thing from Frank, you know, every time. So that's very important. There's something else around that I was going to say, but yeah, that variety. Really, anyway, it'll come to me, whatever the other thing was, but yeah. Oh, I know, because after one session, he interacted with this lady, and she had a very serious issue with her children, and at the end of it, he came to me, and he'd often comment about the sessions that had been. He went, "See, I can trip the light fantastic." I don't know if you know what that means, but there's a dance, you know, when it's very gentle dance. And when you say I can trip the light, that means I can dance very gently and lightly. And he said, "See, I can trip the light fantastic." So adjusting your style, which I would expect people as a coach to be able to do anyway. But, you know, there's no one size fits all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What do you think, Dawn?
Absolutely so.
That's the answer. Okay. How about you, Venki?
Hello, Sue. Hello, everybody.
Bonjour.
It was the Frank video that you were playing with Leslie. Some of the conversations that he was interacting with Leslie were directly, and I took it into me directly. So it was impactful to me, me being in the place of Leslie as well. Being at the statement of, yeah, everybody, you know, can't own a business, you know, somebody better being an employee, get a salary, right? So those are the lines that very provoking to me, very provoking. I got provoked, and I was reflecting on them today.
And that's a good way of experiencing, isn't it? To put yourself in the shoes.
Yes.
Because I always reckon with Frank, that was the way to really learn about this stuff. Put yourself in the chair. You know, you get one thing by watching, but this is a next best. It's like step into it and take it for yourself. So you need somebody to rule you with a tight fist then. That's what he was saying to Leslie.
I couldn't get that, what you said. So and the other one that you mentioned on contrast to what my thinking has been is the provoking with love. You know, like you have a bit of love. But when you provoke someone or when you provoke yourself, always use the element of, you know, with love. You do it with love. That's you've been mentioning the last 2 days. That is something I couldn't relate it with. So it was contrast to me.
And now?
That the thought of combining provocation and love together made me slow down.
Yeah, you have slowed down in the way you're speaking now.
Yes, it was.
Frank emphasized that over and over. Richard Bandler modeled Frank Farrelly. So Richard Bandler is very provocative in his style. And he stayed with Frank, I think, for several months at one point in time to model him. People say that when he came back, he modeled him so much that his voice had changed. However, Frank says he didn't get the love bit. And he said, that's what makes a difference.
Yes.
Whether he did or he didn't, I've never met Richard Bandler in person, but I know people who've been in a one-on-one with him say they feel very cared for with him, but I think he's a bit more brutal than Frank typically was.
The metaphor came up for the first time. I was surprised. Is like, now it's an attempt to be a caterpillar, now being a butterfly. Now I'm making an attempt to be a caterpillar.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you, Vandana, dark horse, really letting rip when you get into that breakout room. There was me being a little bit concerned about you, and you just went, brilliant. And GK.
Good morning, Sue. Good afternoon. I think you're part of the world, so good afternoon.
Bonjour is a safe one. Good day.
Bonjour. Okay, bonjour. My takeaways from yesterday, if that's the question, I wasn't able to stay on the whole time, but to me, it was the love piece. And I resonate with what the gentleman, Venki, I can't see his name on the screen. Venki said is that I'm experiencing that everything's a message for me, even though it may not look like a message for me.
Oh,
and
it is a message for you.
I'm sorry?
It is. Everything's a message for you.
Well, yes, if that's how you want to take it, and I take it that way. And so I felt like Frankie did, that Frank was talking to me and I was being challenged in terms of things in my life. And then later in the day, I had some other experiences which happens to me a lot, which were resonating at that frequency, kind of like, yeah, that's your message for today. Get out there and start making some stuff happen and put your sign in the window, business, business, wherefore art thou? Business. I love that line. So
well, don't put the sign in the window.
I just love that as a motivator. I just thought, what a beautiful, take Romeo and Juliet and hit me over the head with it. Get busy. You know, I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
So.
Because I'm sure Leslie won't mind me talking about her, but you know, that's what she was doing, just waiting for business to come to her. And he was going, well, this is what's going to happen if you do that. You know, that's not what these kind of people who fight for it do. You know, they get out there. I think she talked about a long-term effect of that session on her, or she said subsequently, things felt unfamiliar. Things that had been familiar felt unfamiliar. Things had changed. But I do know that she used to fear calling people up about business. And she said that fear had gone subsequently after that. I still think, though, I was just saying to the group, I think before you joined, you know, he was saying, you know, some people shouldn't work. That's a classic, you know, some people shouldn't work for themselves. And Leslie really changed a lot when she started to work for this organization that she's working for now, when she chose to work. It took years to get the message from Frank. And yet that was transformative for her. And so he was absolutely spot on, you know, that some people shouldn't work for themselves. And just to say that straight. So he absolutely nailed it. But then people can nail it and you still might not listen to what they say. So, any other thoughts or reflections? See, was it you, Chandra, asked me, you know, what would be the ideal? I think the ideal going away from these 4 days, well, if you can get into that style, just that style, that kind of way of being, it's like anything, it's like NLP. If you get into the, you know, the beliefs of excellence, the techniques you can learn, they're details. And it's the same with this. If you can get into the style, embody that loving, amusement, truthful, provocative style, if you find what that's like, the rest will come. And be able to just be yourself. You know, that's just use your honest, genuine reactions to somebody. Use them. GK, I thought you changed the pattern, like you hadn't appeared with a yellow hand in the corner.
I did reflect on something that I was thinking when I was watching Frank yesterday, relating to music and jazz in particular. And he has this incredible improvisational capability to listen and then riff off what he's hearing and or feeling, and not be afraid to hit a wrong note. And I really appreciated that. It's like he'll go out there and, okay, I'm gonna go out here. And so his flexibility in terms of interacting with that individual, being unafraid to get out past the norm. And as a former musician and listen to other musicians, some people have that capability. They're unafraid. They'll go out there and okay, well, I'm gonna stay out here. It's a little far out, but I'm okay with it. Other musicians stay right kind of in the pocket and don't really deviate. So I just really appreciated that about his improvisational flexibility to go from what he's hearing and feeling into where he wants to go with the conversation. So I just want to mention.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about that expression, where he wants to go with the conversation. Well, there is a broad outcome, so the universal broad outcome is learning and awareness. And people finding that just very centered place of themselves, that free place, and then it's kind of provoking in a way that they embrace those edges, that they find that place for themselves. So it's a very how would I say, it's very work-free style. You're not taking on and having to work out and having to understand things. Probably the biggest influence on how you are in any coaching session is how you live your life.
Mm-hmm.
I know that was the other key point that came out towards the end yesterday. Like Newport, you were saying, well, where's this session going? With Frank. Is it going to finish with an action plan? And you didn't ask that, but where does it get to? As opposed to, this is it. And you could stop it at any point. And, Leslie, in this case, has the experience of him being free. This is how he is in life. I remember one of my other mentors, Gene Early, saying, he would, and to some degree, I would say he does this, just like to be able to walk into a room and have that entrance make a difference. And I was thinking about that. I went to my eldest granddaughter's birthday party a couple of months ago in the UK, and her whole class were at this venue where they were having the party. And Sarah, my daughter-in-law, had organized a fencing, with a sword teacher. These girls were wild. All these girls were like 8 years old together. It's just, we just imagine what 8-year-old girls together are like. Anyway, all running around crazy. And I think there were about 20 of them. And their teacher was there as well. And Sarah said she'd organized this fencing teacher to come and give them a fencing lesson as part of the birthday party. And somebody else was saying, good luck to him. It's this young guy coming, good luck to him with this lot of girls. How's he going to cope with that? How's he going to deal with that? And I was stood next, it was the teacher actually, they'd invited their form teacher to come as well. And she was stood next to me. And she said, oh, good luck, because she knew what they were like, to manage. And he came in and he stood in front of me. She said, he's going to be all right. Instantly. And instantly you knew he absolutely had the presence, and he knew, and he ran this fantastic fencing lesson for them all. And they just loved it, and they did what he said, and he had them on the edge. And it was instant, though, that that in somebody's style, that they've got that presence, and it's like how to let that be for yourself. So
I had a few reflections.
You did?
I did, but I don't know if I want to take a lot of time. So I'll try
No,
to.
I'll time you. How long?
Okay. That takes a weight off my shoulders. So
So
I
you
think
put
my
half an hour.
45 minutes. No, just 45. So my reflections on so I have a lot of takeaways and reflections about Provocative. I love it, but I think I love it as a spectator at this point. I feel like I have paid for a really nice comic comedian session or a stand-up comedy, and I love it. But it's like someone's telling me, now you crack the joke, and I'm like, no, that's not, I don't want to do that. I enjoy it. I see it being effective. I see the potential of it. And that's where I was. The second part of my reflection was that I spent the entire day saying, it's okay if I give up. Then I moved on to, let's say I have a migraine today, and then I developed a migraine the entire day to be able to say that it's fine. And then I said, you can be gentle with yourself. You can self-select yourself out. I was just giving myself so many excuses to not come to this session. And then I'm here. So for me, what I wanted out of myself, just the fact that I managed to be here, it's a pat on my back, because I was like, okay, let's just be there. How bad can it be? So
I might not use this as a reference for my training.
I think you should, because I showed up.
How bad can this be?
Imagine moving from a terrible migraine to not having one right now. So I'll put a positive spin on it, Sue, trust me. And but the larger takeaway, and that's what's been extremely impactful for me. I did not expect it to happen in the context of Provocative. But the larger takeaway for me is a question that's been in my head for so long. Why am I not a good coach? Or why am I not coaching people? And I've done lots of coaching sessions and certifications. And I think the unlock happened when I realized that I'm getting in my own way, and I'm still in my own way. Because for me, coaching is not about the other person. I have a deep intent to help. But when I'm trying to coach, it's all about me. Am I asking the right questions? The performance anxiety? Am I a good coach? How will I look? Will I look stupid? Was that the right question? And I'm not in service of the person at all. And that's why it's 2.5 and now a 1.
Although you could distract them, for 3/4 of an hour with all this chat about yourself. When they realize how bad it is for you, their issues will be light in comparison. They'll think,
so I think they'll do what GK did. They'll try to coach me and rescue me.
No, they'll just go away, be assured, that bloody hell, if the therapist is that bad, if the coach is that bad, then I must be okay.
I think I'm fine. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's my takeaway. I want to, whatever time it takes for me to do that, but I want to first get out of my own way and then attempt to coach. Or I don't know if it is,
or just pretend.
dive right in, or maybe dive right in.
This
I
is a
don't know.
demonstration of what it's like when you let the issues rule you.
It is. I am feeling quite ruled by the issues right now.
Well, then use it. It's like, look at me.
Yeah.
You say, if you don't take, if you don't act, you'll finish up like me.
Yeah.
Preoccupied with migraines and whatever else.
And 2.5 coaches over 5 years.
2.5 coaches.
But yeah, that was my thought process over the last one day.
Whew, crikey, I feel exhausted just listening to you. I say, how we do some things, how we do everything. God knows what your life's like.
I think it's like what you're imagining. It's
what I was afraid of. You'll never be bored, Nupur. That's the upside. You'll never be short of things to think about or do.
I'm sorry, Sue, but just like sometimes your British English, I couldn't get what Nupur said. I don't, not because of the language, but I still didn't get what she said.
What she said. At which point of the 30 minutes didn't you get?
All of it, I guess. Just want to be honest. Yeah.
Becky, all you need to do is look at her and you just get the message. Basically, she's saying she's a disaster as far as this provocative is concerned. And she's totally obsessed with herself. And she doesn't even notice if there's coachee there. You know, she's just thinking about what she's doing. And she's demonstrating how bad life can be if you don't take these principles on board. That was basically it.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for repeating for me in an easier language.
Yeah, in summary, she just takes a long time to get to the point. And I didn't have to have a migraine in the process either to relay that. Oh.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Nipur.
Helen, you were going to share something before everybody came.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna, if that's okay, I was just gonna share.
Well, it might be okay. It depends what you're going to
Tell
share.
me after. It was sort of a reflection that I had after the event. So I was on site this morning. I'm in construction, and I was meeting a demolition contractor and a scaffolder. We're trying to demolish a building that's actually built off a canal wall. So we'd walked around the building. I've not met them before because they're tendering for their work, and we'd walked around the side of the building, and we were.
Do you have to wear a hard hat?
If there's construction work going on, but this is just preliminary, so no.
You didn't have to wear a hard hat today.
No hat at this point. So we were standing on the bridge overlooking the canal and the building to the right, and there's this narrow boat driving. Do narrow boats drive? I don't know.
They usually float.
Float.
Or they are driven. They have motors, don't they? I think narrow boats. They have a motor.
So floating towards us, and the scaffolder said quite deadpan. He said, like, I thought the canal was a lot narrower because the woman was driving in the middle of the canal. To which I turned around to him and said, sexist, because of like, and which then he just looked at me, and then sort of like I smiled, and then the three of us just laughed, and it was kind of like, actually it gave us sort of like such a good kind of connection. But I think what I thought about it was that because I've been in construction for over 20 years, and there's such a difference, like this. So I've always been used to sort of like being the only female. So I've done everything I can to not draw attention to the differences in gender. So for me to say that was probably like, I thought, gosh, that's quite. I would yes. Make a joke, but like to say a joke about sort of gender, I thought actually that was, I reflected on that. I thought, gosh, that was, quite out there for me, really.
And how was that?
It was really good because, I mean, it was funny. And we'd already, like you said about sort of as soon as I met both of them, I thought we had a good rapport. I felt instantly that it was a good rapport. So like it was, okay. And then after that, and actually the discussions that we had and the meeting and everything, it was just a really positive, easy meeting. Felt like myself. So it was really good. It was really good.
I think that's a great example. I think because things get resolved when you bring them to the surface. If you bring them to the surface with humour, they don't tend to get resolved if they are buried or kind of they become the elephant in the room, so to speak. That's a great example. Okay, so anything else? Anybody? Questions or anything? Ramesh?
So yesterday you mentioned about chit chat, like just have a chit chat, like when you're coaching, especially when you're talking about provocative coaching. So it reminds me of someone who always brings up an issue. Before meeting me, they bring up an issue and say, I have this issue, I want to meet you. And when they turn up in front of the camera or face to face, they wouldn't open the mouth at all. And it's like, it's a pattern, okay? And suddenly, what do I do now? So it's like, it was more of work for me, but I continued to have chit chat and then introducing provocative been provocative in the middle, as continuing to. So what turned to be what would be a very serious start would turn to a laughter, but just by provoking gently, a couple of words would pop out. And we continue to chit chat, having conversations. The end of it, I'm left with this, that I'm not very sure whether this person got anything, but she goes off happily and again comes back after 2 or 3 months saying with another issue. So this has been going on again and again. What is it? What is that I'm doing right that this person keeps coming back? But yeah, we're having.
You are a very attractive man, Ramesh. Well, so some women say. So, I mean, so she's probably inventing issues just to,
Oh, sexist, Sue.
Absolutely. Well, his wife says it as well. He says it. So she must be scouring around, like, what can I make as a next issue so as I can get to see Ramesh again? I've told you, Ramesh, you should dress down a little. You look a bit too, you got this.
I'm not even shaved, so.
When you get your gold, Kerala outfit on and all that stuff, it's a bit too much, The poor women can't even concentrate in the training rooms when you're.
Okay.
There you go. Well, clearly you can make money out of it. So.
No.
Oh, do you charge her?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. She hasn't got any real issues. She just keeps coming back to see you. And
No, so.
I don't know why you're saying no. It seems to be like that's what's happening.
So how did you figure out that the client was she? I was wondering. I was not.
I said so.
Did you?
I assumed he's mainly got witness, and they're all falling over their feet to be with him. You watch them on the courses; they all gather around.
I thought they come for you, so.
Oh, you can try and distract like that. No, I just hang on to your coattails because I think, well, I'm going to get business this way. If I hang around Ramesh, it just makes it look legitimate.
You're letting all the secrets out, so.
GK.
Find the mute button. One other thing I was really just thinking about, it came to my mind.
Is this connected to what we were just saying?
Yes, it is, because what I'm feeling, thinking, experiencing is directly reflected in your conversation with Ramesh, which is the freedom of conversation, which is unedited. And as I look at my training and my normal pattern of communication, I always play what I'm about to say first. It's on a quick loop, but I'm playing it first before I speak it, because in court or wherever I am, what I'm saying has to be precise and accurate. So I'm auditorily playing that loop. My experience with Humour yesterday in the Provocative was I wasn't doing that. I was just hearing her and her kind of statements about pressure and freezing, and then thoughts would pop into my mind and I would just speak it. And I felt that was more like my poem writing and my other creative, and I really enjoyed that. So I just wanted to reflect on that difference in my experience of communication, of one training or professional side, but this is much more, I like this. It's much more free and flowing and fun and effective. So I just wanted to share that.
You could transform courtroom experiences. You could say, did you really say that?
I could end up in the lockup. Okay.
Let me tell you a story. What happened to me on the way to work today? God, it would make courtroom experiences so much more entertaining.
I think it would. And some people have that capability. I'm going to work on that. I like that, Sue. That gives me a venue to continue my
celeb-
experimentation.
Celebrity magistrate. She's like, you've got to go and see this guy, get him working for you.
I love it. Yes, yes.
Okay, let us actually, I just thought of another, Chandana, because we've got a couple of things lined up to show you. There was another one which perhaps you can find, which is about the silence, is when Frank met Arul. But let's just show the beginning of the Cheryl one, just to show you a beginning again, because it's that beginning, just to get into that state. It's like, what's it take to be in, what are the characteristics of a provocative state? So Cheryl's also someone I know very well, good friend. I know the effects of this, but we're just going to show you the beginning.
Chandana, unmute yourself.
Chandana.
Chandana,
Chandana.
Chandana, unmute yourself.
Where is he? Chandana.
So did you hear the voice? Who?
No.
The
No.
audio?
You need to unmute you
Okay.
and take
No,
it back.
I actually didn't share the sounds.
No, take it back to it. And we could do it non-verbally, which would be interesting, just study the non-verbal behavior. You're muted, Chandana, still.
I think I pronounce it the way I like it.
All right, you
Take it back to the
mispronounce
beginning.
it just the way you want it.
He's talking about her name.
What's your first name?
Cheryl.
Cheryl?
Yeah.
C-H-E-R-Y-L?
Yeah. In America, they say Cheryl.
Yeah, right.
I know.
I was going to say, well, you don't even know how to pronounce your own name.
I think I pronounce it the way I like it.
All right, you mispronounce it just the way you want. That's okay. How old are you?
Ooh.
Gimme.
I'm about 20 years younger than you.
That's 57?
That's 58, actually.
58, actually. You liar, it's 19. Jesus.
I think at this point, somebody makes a noise.
Yeah, come on. Don't do this in the middle of an interview, please.
And he's always really strict about it.
All right. Okay. 58.
Yep.
So what's the problem?
Is now my time to tell you? I'll tell you. I'm going
Is
to
it interesting?
Well, it's interesting to me.
Well, see, then I was going to say, is it interesting or true?
It's both.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you got any, all right, let's hear it.
Okay.
Yeah, what kind of work do you do?
I'm boringly I'm trying to think I'm a coach. I train in NLP. Yeah, try and keep awake now, Frank.
Go ahead.
Keep up.
Very good. Thank you for the...
I was a psychotherapist.
You was?
I was.
All right. Then that
Then I
got
met
to be
Sue.
too much or something, so you... I can't stand this anymore. I've just got to quit it.
I also worked in mental health, like you.
Oh, boy. All right, then everything became too much, and so you just sort of slid down to... They say water seeks its lowest level. All right, so maybe that's true of some people, too. Okay.
I actually thought I was climbing up.
Well, that's the trouble.
So you
That's the
think
thing
I'm
with some
slipping
people
down?
have their sense of direction. See what I mean?
Okay, let's pause there, Chandana.
Just,
come back to the group. So what do you take from that beginning? What strategies was he using?
So I think he was using a kind of tote there, where he was testing out different theories of kind of like testing out different little theories to see where it landed with her.
Which is a general strategy in provocative, absolutely. So asking her age, for example, was kind of straight in with that. And notice she kind of hesitated on that question. Bit like you did, Dawn.
Yeah.
But then she came back to it. But he will note, you know, it's like note that. What do people do? How do they react to different stimuli? Yeah. Yeah. What else? GK?
I noticed the part with the name. I thought it was just, he just went right in there. It was like, Leslie was a little bit more, he eased in. This, he's just, boom. Oh, you don't even know how to pronounce your own name. Well, I believe I say it the right way. Well, you can mispronounce it any way you want to. I'm like, whoa, okay. So he was really, I get it that he was probing, but I think he felt that this is somebody that I'm going to go right at. And I think to me, he can.
She was going right at him, wasn't she? You know, so
yeah,
she,
I mean,
you know, well, this, I know how to pronounce my own name. And he goes, well, you know, it's like, so there's a pattern he's noticing in her, that she will stand up for herself. And he's reacted to that. He's shown a reaction to that. So he's kind of giving feedback by, well, you know, okay, then. Yeah.
Yeah. And he continued to press that when he said, well, is it interesting or is it true? And then it's like, oh, well, okay, if I have to. I mean, I just love that bit of.
Yep.
And you've been, maybe you can unpack that a little bit more, but I just felt that was a power moment for me, where he just kind of, he to me, he carved open a path that of entry. Well, that's how I felt and saw it.
You know, I think a lot of people in a coaching session go and think, oh, I've got to do a job here. I've got to get somebody kind of, you know, get them with the learning or sort it out. And I must find out what their issue is. And he's like, oh God, you know, is it interesting or okay, tell me. So you've just said, I'm not going to work at this. You work at this. That's key statement about the roles, that you're not going to do it for them. Like, so yeah, that was all those moments are key moments. Yeah. Anything else?
The prodding of the negative slant on why she left, or why she's no longer a psychotherapist. It was like sort of that there was a continuous prod in terms of, oh, it's too much for you, or, you know, and then sort of backed it up with you know, with the metaphor about the water dropping to the bottom. It was kind of like quite like prod like, you know, and then I'm going to reinforce it like with a metaphor. Is quite, yeah, quite
there. And there was her pattern again of disputing that. I thought I was rising up, you know, and then you knock that down. So you're dealing with the patterns in people, not the content of the issue. People show their issue rather than tell their issue. That's really key. So if you get involved in let's just take one of your subgroups. Nupur, you've got a question?
So I can ask it after you're done with this flow. It was just my observation about the video, so we can continue it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I promise.
Well, you might get a migraine or something like that while we're waiting.
I've popped enough for a week. Enough pills for a week, I'm fine.
But I'm really excited to know what you're going to say now.
It was life altering, so I tell you. But
I really, yeah, I'm hanging on it.
okay, so fine. I'm sorry, Helen, but yes, going on. What I felt was that he was trying to also tease at the level of identity. So like how much she's taken on, is she going up or down?
Yes.
I didn't like the fact that I loved the fact that she was standing up for herself, but I noticed that he'd seen something that I hadn't been able to see, and he was disputing it and she was disputing him. But I was trying to build out how that connects to her identity, and she was constantly, why she left psychotherapy, was she doing too much, was she going up or down? And it was like bait, and every time he would bait her, she would dispute it. But that's because he was impacting her at the level of identity on multiple occasions. That's how I felt.
Great. Well, I'm glad you shared that spontaneously. Heaven knows what we might benefit from when you let yourself speak the thoughts. Let me just take the beginning of one of your sessions. Which one shall we take, Chandana? Which one did we watch first?
With Nipur or
You pause.
okay, no. Then with GK's one.
GK, you see that one? Let's have a look anyway. Yeah.
No, that's the one. That's GK and Nupur were in the same session.
Oh, is it? So GK didn't do a coaching. Oh, well, he did, but it wasn't supposed to be. Who else did we see? We saw.
I'll play one.
Well, let's take Venki's.
Yes. Yes, here you go.
So tell me, what's your issue?
Oh, I meant Venki coaching.
I've been making several attempts
Chandana, can you get Venki
to
coaching?
quit my smoking, and I'm not able to.
Oh, good one.
Try to be a coach.
Okay. Yep.
I'll make an attempt actually. I'm going to work on that. So, okay. So, Helen, what's the issue?
I suppose, well, I'll keep it to, I suppose I did some coaching a couple of years ago, and it's been a while since I've kind of done it sort of properly, or immersed myself into it. So I suppose the issue is feeling a little bit apprehensive about.
Sorry, what's the issue, Helen?
So the getting back into sort of like the role of coaching and the mindset of coaching, and trying to just kind of like get back into that and kind of switch. My issue is, I suppose, trying to switch back into it, finding it a bit difficult. Switch back into the coach role. Yes, like the mindset of being a coach.
Okay, so,
and I suppose
stop there and come back to the group. So if you take the pattern in this case that Helen was demonstrating as opposed to the content, what do you go with? So you were picking up on what you were saying, Venki, which is the content. But what was characteristic of the way that Helen was presenting herself?
I felt that Helen was trying not to take up too much space.
And in trying not to take up too much space, she took up quite a lot of space explaining. It's like, what's the, and even Becky went, you know, after that lengthy explanation, he didn't say this, what's the issue? It's like, and then we had another lengthy explanation. So there's a pattern. You know, so for example, you could say, you into hypnotic coaching, Helen? Because really, when you put things in such an abstract, long-winded way like that, it can be, I feel like that's you know, that's how to respond to the style, not the content. So that's immediately that makes a difference. That says to people, hey, we're going into territory I didn't think we were going to go into, but that's at a different level to the content of this issue. Traditional coaching will go into the content. This doesn't go into the content. It's the things that people don't know about themselves that they reveal through their nonverbal behavior. Or they might know them, but they don't expect them to be the things that you deal with on the surface. Okay, let's just go back to watch the beginning. I'm going to do this Newport with GK. You could try getting into a provocative state now, Newport. Just take the very beginning of this one.
I resign, go for it.
You've got that pen in your hand again. Honestly, I think it's like a magnet there. That...
So GK and Nipur.
Yes.
Okay.
No. You're being generous. You're being generous with that water.
I love, hang on, just pause for a second. Just pause this for a second. There's this wonderful debate at the beginning of your session about who's going to be the coach. It's like, so you tried, Nupur, to be the observer, first of all. I don't know whether that comes up, whether at that stage. And then Ramesh says, no, I've got that role. So it's amazing how very brave people are in these groups, how many people don't put themselves into the role of coach. You come on a program to learn provocative coaching and everybody wants to be an observer. And then GK so gentlemanly decides he'll be the subject. They really dropped you in it. Oh dear, you let them. Crikey. Okay, let's hear a little bit of this.
I'm drawing a blank on, I think I'm putting too much pressure on myself with the provocative piece, but I know that traditionally I will start unpacking, but I'm kind of lost right now. So Ramesh, do you mind stepping in, please?
Okay, so go back to the beginning. That's a great victim role, Nupur. Demonstrating the dark, total drama triangle.
That's the role I have taken, by the way. That's the reason I've come.
That should be a rule. If you opt out the rule, okay, you're up. I'll go. I'll be the subject of the coachee or whatever. I'll step into that role.
Oh, that's so no.
That was my second. Okay. I don't know if I can do provocative at this point, but let's go. Let's see.
You need my issue?
Yes, I do want. I just want to double check with Ramesh. Ramesh, you're absolutely certain that you have to be the observer because I'm panicking here.
Yes.
Oh no, damn. I should have.
Now he's really sure.
Now he's really, yeah. He's also destabilizing me. But yes, please go for it, GK. What's the issue?
Okay. My issue is receiving and internalizing feedback.
I have nothing to say.
Okay, so stop there.
That's great then. They're two very cruel people, let me just say that. None of them were willing to help me. You said I played a good victim, but they were just not willing to be saviors.
They certainly weren't. Well, or I think GK eventually became a rescuer as opposed to a savior eventually, but they really dropped you in, didn't they? Oh wow, it was amazing. I really thought GK was going to say, well, I'll volunteer to be the subject.
I swear that's what I was expecting. He's like, let me, and I was like, finally, and he's like, I'll be the subject. I felt so royally dropped.
So you had set yourself up right from the start of that, you know, so all that dialogue stuff, you've set yourself up. Now that you watch it again, let's say you've started afresh and GK says, you know, well, my issue is receiving feedback and internalizing it. How might you handle it now? Well, I'll open this to anybody, but I'll ask you first, Nupur.
I thought about it yesterday, what would come naturally to me if I didn't feel the pressure, and it would probably be to make light of the issue. And it would be to say, my God, now isn't that an issue? Or to go around saying, oh, that's as big as the Russia-Ukraine war, or to say, my dear Lord, how have you been carrying that weight all along? So
Right.
I think that's how I would have normally done it instantly. But because I had built it up so much, I just froze.
Yes. So that build up didn't help. I was just thinking, I could never imagine Frank Fowley going, oh, I don't think I can handle this one. Does anybody else like to do this? Just think that's another way to handle these situations. How would this person do it? Have somebody in your mind whose shoes you step into and go, what would they do here? And even if you think, God, what would you do with that? Or you could have used what happened just before, like the way they dumped you in the role. Use that. Use whatever happens. Use everything. And if you really don't know what to do with it, it's like, oh God, this sounds a bit complicated. I don't know. Just say it. Speak the truth of what your reaction is to somebody, because that's valid. That's important. That's useful for them.
That's very valuable. Another thing I remember thinking of was just saying what? Because I found it confusing what he had just said. So I thought I could have just said, what again is your issue? But yeah, I thought about it, and thanks. This was extremely uncomfortable for me to watch, but I'm glad I've learned something from this pain.
You're glad you survived all those struggles today and all that illness you put yourself through to get here.
Thank you.
Same with Helen. If you think about how Helen was in, it's like, what? I'm in a trance. It's like, well, but actually that will work for you, Helen. You go into hypnosis. You do wonders there, because you just speak what you speak in the way that you speak it, and they won't know what the hell's going on. Then you could just implant all sorts of ideas. Okay, so let's go not back into breakout rooms. Maybe different ones. And same structure. Somebody's going to present an issue, and that's my phone going up. And just practice that start point. Just how you begin it. Just might be playing with the name. Whatever is your reaction to what the person says, go notice the pattern of how they are, not the content of what they say. That's key.
Sue, can I just ask a quick question, please?
Is it a quick one, or is it one of those hypnotic ones?
No, it's a quick one. When you said about sort of people show their issue, can I just ask what you took from GK's opener?
Well, I think what Nupur picked up, it's quite sort of fancy, isn't it? To receive feedback and internalize it. Who says that in everyday life? Not many people, not normal people. So you go. So for Nupur to say, what? Yep.
So are they going to record this time also?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Come on, Nupur. Now, this is the time to get yourself into a state where it's like, whatever. And this non-provocative, are you going to coach? Am I going to coach? Are you going to be the subject? Or I'll be the subject? I'll be the observer. No. Come on. Go for it. Okay.
Who's recording, Chandler? Am I recording?
Yes, record, Dawn.
Yeah. Give me a minute, so I am appointing them as co-hosts.
Okay.
So can I just say, just while we're waiting to go into the room then, something that I found interesting in that last that we watched is that it was GK's issue, and somehow, Nupur, you took it on, because GK worried about taking feedback, and you've just taken all the feedback from that session. So I just found that quite interesting in a way, because you've actually demonstrated how to take feedback.
So really, she's been very cleverly modeling the answer for GK without even realizing it.
Yeah.
And I think we'll do this. While we're just waiting for Chandler, I proposed an early start tomorrow. Does that work for everybody? That's okay. So that, oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant because it's this Bastille Day. It means I can get to a concert in the evening. There's all sorts of tables set out in the square at the moment. Normally we'd start at 4. It's 2 hours earlier. Okay. Start at 2 hours before.
7:30.
That work?
Give me a
So
second.
that's 1 o'clock, is it, Sue, UK?
Yes.
Just give me a second.
Anyway, have a think about that.
Yeah, it works.
That would be fantastic.
So that's 5:30 for us in India.
Yes.
That works.
Is that okay for you, GK? Because that's very early morning, isn't it?
GK, you're on mute.
Yeah, I had to find a mute button. Yeah, that's 5 a.m. my time. Yeah, just go for it.
Okay, thank you, GK.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, Chandana, we're ready to go. So let's go for
Yes. So Dawn, GK, and Wenki, you will be recording.
recording. Okay, let's go for, so you could maybe each have a go or two have a go at being the coach. Let's say, and get some feedback about, so really get some good, rich feedback from your observer. And also from the person who's the subject. It's like, you know, did they feel kind of knocked off balance by what you said or what you do? Let's go 20 minutes then.
Yes, ready to go. 20 minutes. Dawn, Winky, and GK are recording.
Excellent. Some of you look amused, some of you look very serious. And how was that? Puja.
Quite painful.
Painful. For whom?
Me.
As the coach or the subject, or
Both, in both the places.
in both places? Learning pain?
Getting rid of pain is painful. So
Sorry?
getting rid of the pain itself is so painful.
Oh my goodness.
With Nupur, I was with Nupur.
Wow. How is it for you, Nupur? She doesn't look like she's experienced pain. She looks like she's delighted.
I actually had fun. I had a lot of fun.
Ah, what was different then today for you?
I wasn't tied to outcomes in any way.
You say it again?
I wasn't tied to outcomes in any way.
Right. Right.
I didn't think I'd be able to not care, but I didn't.
You were in the present.
Yeah, absolutely. Didn't
Yeah.
have the pencil this time. So maybe that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't feeling the weight of any weight at all.
Right. Say some more, Ramesh, about what you observed.
My group,
With
so
you?
I was in a different group. So
No, Chandana, we were with Chandana.
Oh, right. So I'm just wondering how you were commenting on.
no, when Nupur said that, I just said that I noticed that she was in the moment, she was in the present.
Right.
So yeah.
That's true, Ramesh. I also felt the same when Nipur, when you were coaching, as I mentioned, the breakout room. I felt that you were in the moment. You had, within you, you had laughter. And I saw a lot of shoulder movements in you and moving around you, which gave me the impression that you are in the space. And according to me, I saw some impact on Winky, and he comes and say that as a coach, I went through a lot of pain.
Yeah. So what are you taking away from that, Nupur?
It wasn't intended, but what I really saw play out was the smallest of actions or inactions from a coach can elicit such a reaction from the coachee you don't even realize. So both the positive of it, that you can have that much impact, and the negative, or the one, or like, is that you have to be really mindful about even your slightest smirk or a laughter can trigger people in ways that you didn't think you had the power to impact people that way, but it can. And it's yeah, I'm taking it in. So
You're presenting yourself very differently now.
Because today at the core of me, I don't care. I care, but I don't really care. Like, it's not my problem to solve. I don't have to be liked. I think I've been chanting the courage to be disliked. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it wasn't an easy session for me either.
No.
For various reasons. But I think the only thing I have taken away from this session is that all I can possibly do in any scenario is to be authentically me. If that works, great. If that offends, fine. If it doesn't, my intent is positive, and maybe there's a lot of skill to be learned yet, but I can only be authentically me at best. So that's all I'm trying to do today.
And you give feedback from the authentic you by just being who you are. I remember GK, I think GK saw something of Frank Farrelly once before, and he said at first he doesn't care. And it's like you're saying today, it's like not caring, but caring. You do care, but it's having a not care about, you know, how am I perceived? Because that's the whole point, is to test out how somebody reacts to you and what you do and what you say.
Yeah.
It's about their learning, not about whether they like or offended by. That's what the drilling for oil is. Yeah.
And for a person like me whose two books on my nightstand are The Courage to be Disliked and The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Dash, it's quite a shift. It's significant for me.
Very significant. Yeah.
So
Yep.
I would like to just remind her a metaphor that she used there. Nupur, you said that I was floating. Rather drilling, I was floating, and here Sue said that you be with the love that you have. The interesting thing that I experienced, that you were in the water, you were with the water, and you were floating in the water.
Yeah.
You're still touching the water in a much stronger manner.
Thank you, Chandana.
I reckon you can bring water into the answer to anything, Chandana. It's a waterfall, or it's a river, or it's it's like that story in my book. I think it's still in the book about the psychotherapist who always believes that people got issues, have a fish in their dreams. They dream about fish. Do you remember that story? Anyway, how is it for you, Helen?
Yeah, insightful. I personally found being the coach in the first few moments, definitely better than I was yesterday, but that is not hard. But then, yeah, I kind of lost the plot a little bit in terms of, again, just a bit of overthinking a bit. Yeah, it was, I enjoyed being coached by Dawn. It was quite funny because Dawn had started sort of like swaying a chair a little bit, and then it made me start swaying my chair a bit. So it was quite, yeah, it was, yeah. And actually my felt like actually Dawn actually got sort of like a bit more precision out of me, which, as you picked up before, that's I can lack in precision sometimes. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Vandana, did you let rip in the breakout room again? How was it, Vandana, for you?
Actually, I was telling my issue to GK, and after he has done coaching, I thought that my issue was very, it's not an issue at all. So it depends on how you coach and how you make it very easy go, like you can make fun with your issue so that it becomes really very simple, very
as you say, no longer
very no longer an issue, just like that.
And that's the strategy, is like keep coming back to the question. So what's the issue? Because it changes during the course of the session. Yeah, you've definitely got that. You've got the whole look and way of the mischievous way of being, Vandana, that's so appropriate for provocative.
Actually, we had another session with Pooja and me, and I was coaching her, and she was coaching, and she was telling that she can't sleep. She wants to sleep, but she can't sleep. So we were just dealing with that.
And
and I just told her that she will not be able to sleep early because she doesn't want to. She said, no, I want to. So I said, no, you won't be able to. She said, yes, I am not able to. I want to do it. I said, you won't be able to do it. So at last she said that I want to be a vampire or mummy or something like that so that I can sleep.
I'm seeing a whole other side to you, Vandana, on this program. And it's delightful. You often have looked so serious, but you just light up the screen when you smile and laugh like that. You've got such a wonderful giggling approach to life. GK.
Well, I just wanted to add on to Vandana because I was the observer when she was doing the provocative with Pooja. And, you're right. Vandana has this style. It's like, oh, you don't even have an issue. Okay, you have a decision. You decided not to go to bed, but you don't have an issue. And she's like, I'm not even dealing with this. You're not going to do it. And I was like, Pooja's like, no. I have an issue. I stay up, I write, I paint, I this, I that. Vandana's like, you're not going to do it. You're not going to go to, and she would not move off of that. And then what happened was she sent Pooja into the provocative, self-provocative. Well, I guess maybe I could stay up for 3 days straight and then maybe I would go to sleep. And Vandana's like, well, see, you solved your own issue. And I thought, okay, that was fantastic. She did not move off of that, you're not going to do it. And I just felt that was perfectly appropriate to Pooja, who didn't really have an issue. She was just making a decision to do other stuff and stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning. And so I loved it. And I want to give that feedback here on the group to London. I thought she was great.
I don't need to watch the video now after that.
Well, you know, truth be told, the universe did not give GK permission to record again. Says I either have to go to another device or, you know, get my hands on a Zoom manual so I can actually do this stuff when it comes out. I didn't want to say, hey, I don't know if I can record. I didn't want to be that guy. So I went in and realized I don't have a record feature. I don't know where it is. So that's
universe
it. There
didn't
is no
allow,
video.
so
Sorry?
universe didn't allow it.
To allow him to record.
Yeah, neither me nor GK has the problem. Universe didn't allow it.
Okay, let's anything else from anybody right now?
I just like to add to that. So there were 2 points when GK was coaching Vandana, where he went about talking about whatever she was saying, like I'm uncomfortable or I'm shy about other things, like uncomfortable, what is uncomfortable, the chair, the shoes, you know, all of that. So that was great learning for me to see that from GK. And when I was being coached, Vandana's only response to anything I said was, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. So that put me in my own reflective, what do you say, conversation with myself, because the only thing I'm getting back is, you're not going to do it. That's it. And I went provocative with myself. And that's when this ridiculous suggestion came, like, okay, yeah, she's right. I'm not going to go to bed early. So what would make me go to bed early is maybe stay awake for 3 days and then become a zombie and then a mummy and then fall asleep and then wake up a witch the next day. So full-on horror movie.
Clearly, something's happened in these breakout rooms. It's like talking pills or something. Okay.
So that was very insightful that we can get provocative even with our own selves sometimes when we have.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Well, that's kind of the consequence of this, is that you, yeah. Yeah. And you can, you know, I think, you know, if you're facing an issue and you're on your own, it's like, find a way to reframe it for yourself in a way that maybe you get amused about, but you can be provocative with yourself, definitely. Okay.
So,
yes, Venki.
My client Nupur was uncoachable. So it was painful for me. She said she had an issue, and instantly, like before even I asked any few more questions, she said, my problem is solved. I said, okay. She's uncoachable, I would say. So I failed there as a coach.
Well, either that or just the very being in your presence. She resolved her issue, decided she couldn't handle a whole session with you. You could take it that way, you know, that it's just your being there, Venki. I mean, you do have an impact, let's face it, that you just being there, the issue just disappeared like that. But if you want to see it as failure, that's a choice. Finally, how are we doing? Let's just show one more bit of, I was thinking of the one with Leslie. There's a bit where Frank really confronts her with age and how much time you've got. And as Venki did, put yourself in her shoes, take this for yourself, you'll experience it. And let's see if that gets into the story, because the way he gives the story is something I'd like you to practice. Let's give it a go from the you know where, Chandana. I'd go on a bit. Or is that where he's going on about the age? Go for there. Still quite a bit to go in this, but. We've got no sound, Chandler. Or are you still deciding which point to play from?
Yeah, I don't hear the volume. So.
No, Chandler.
So I'm sorry, I don't have a track of what point is that.
Well, don't worry, just go from some point.
Okay. Okay.
Go from 10 minutes.
Okay.
But with sound.
Yes.
Preferably.
Talking, sleight of hand artists and stuff like that. And I don't know, somehow they trick people.
Yeah.
Can laugh.
Well, yeah, they can laugh if they got rubber panties and stuff. Yeah.
So move on a bit.
They're gonna pee their
Yeah.
panties.
You think that'll make a difference?
You never know.
Okay.
You just never know. There's so many things in life. People say, do this and da da da, and eat broccoli and blah, blah, blah. And boy, and then does it? No.
Okay.
You ever notice that?
Yeah, I noticed that.
They promise you all kinds of stuff. Does it happen? No. We got that together, right?
Okay.
This is why so many people are depressed.
Okay.
They're going around and they're thinking, and you next depressed person, you say, that guy is just, he was promised something if he did this and avoided that, which he did, and nothing happened, nothing good happened.
Know. That's how it is, isn't it?
Yes, it is. People think, well, the Scots are dour, have a dour, outlook. It's not true.
No.
They're realistic. What?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus. And if those, sons of bitches living way down south, if they lived up there and got their nuts, or other appendages,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
I'm talking
They'd be
about.
eating porridge too.
Boy, yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez. Got any hot porridge around this place? Oh, to warm themselves up,
No, I think just a couple of minutes.
Well, now that sounds like a very grim conclusion, but by God, it sounds like Scottish realism again. Yeah. Yep. Damn.
Okay.
Have you made plans for your funeral? Well, I mean, it's just, just what kind of coffin you want, and I'll be having.
I haven't given it a lot of thought yet.
What's it?
I haven't given it much thought yet.
Well, it's never
too-
too soon to begin planning it. Yeah.
Can be too late, I guess. So.
Well, you can be, and then let somebody else just follow the stink. God, something died. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Let them do it. All this preparing for whatever,
Mm-hmm.
Let them just get the green rubber zip bag and the shovel and just shovel you in, It's kind of gloopy, gloppy sounds. God. Ugh.
So you think a bit more preparation, really?
Well, this woman came to see me, and she looked like Anita Ekberg. I mean, she looked like the healthiest pair of lungs you ever saw. Anyway, and so she talked about that, and she was kind of trembling, and she was teary-eyed, and I said, what's the problem? And so she said, well, she was afraid of dying. 26. I said, did some physician or something after examining you said you got a terminal condition? No. Is your mother, did she die at an early age? No. It's your parent of the same sex, da 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 da. And how old was your mother when she died?
67.
Oh, well, and here you are, 38.
48.
48.
48.
Jesus Christ. Well, all right, so you got 19 more years.
Well, she smoked. I don't smoke.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Genetics.
think it's only
It was a
genes.
genetics.
Yeah, okay.
Bang. You know.
Well, my dad made it to 80. Does that not count either? No.
Well, you can't stand to pee, so forget that, you know. They say it's the, what? It's the age at which the parent of your same sex died.
Oh, right.
That's the significant thing.
Okay.
I mean, genetics-wise, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have any brothers or sisters?
Sister.
A sister?
Mm-hmm.
How old is she?
52.
52, 4
Yeah.
years. Is she planning for
For funeral?
her funeral?
Not as far as I know.
When's the last time you talked to her?
Last week.
Last week?
Yeah.
There are a lot of, you know, sales going on now these days.
Is there?
Oh, God, with the economy the way it is, you know,
Well,
just
we could get
blind.
a 2-for-1 or something.
Well, yeah, there you go, you know. Twin coffins, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. She's got a man though, so they might want to
Is
kind
he,
of do
is
their
he
own
working?
thing. Yeah.
Yeah? Does he make any money?
Yeah.
Really?
Some.
Some, yeah, right. That's what most guys do. They make a little bit to some. Yeah. Any rate, this Anita Eckberg came. She was afraid of dying. Da, 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 da. So I told her, okay, you, so we talked about the thing. And then I said, I want you to do some homework. And that is you go to one of the funeral homes. And there's a Ryan funeral home, the Irish, who've got, you know, they've almost cornered the market on that stuff because they talk about death all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, God willing, I'll see you Thursday. What's good? Who knows? I could be dead by then. What's the matter with you? Nothing yet, but it could be. I mean, they're always, they think like that.
Right.
Yeah. And so, at any rate, they're doing funeral homes in the United States. Yeah, like mad. Ryan, O'Brien's. After a while, I thought you couldn't die unless you were Irish, you know. Damn. Any rate, she went, I said, you plan your funeral. You know,
Okay.
just find out the different costs and stuff like that and blah, blah, blah. So she did. She went to this thing, and this guy takes one look at her and thinks, she said, excuse me, do you have some time to spend with me about planning the funeral? He said, certainly, miss, I do. And he said, is this a funeral for a loved one? She said, well, in a way, yes. And he said, excuse me? She said, well, it's for myself. And he said, are you terminally ill? No. Well, are you suicidal? He thinks, Jesus, he's starting to get scared. She said, no, I got this crazy therapist, and he's gotten me coming in. Oh, okay, so at any rate, he starts telling, and she starts getting, she said, it was funny, she started getting really interested in this, despite, you know, she went from being very fearful to fascinated about this. He brings her around the whole place and shows her the different prices of coffins, and then this big steel table on which they're, you know, all the clothes taken off, and then they cut into this and cut into that, and two pumps, one's pumping stuff into you, and the other's pumping stuff out of you, blood and, you know, lymphatic fluid and all this. Yeah. And she was really interested, and he was interested in her interests, you know.
Okay.
If you follow me.
Not really, but go on.
Well, it's all right. It's mutually, you know, interested, but in different things. That's frequently with men and women. Well, anyway, so he gives her a bunch of different cards, and you know, his card, and the brochure for the funeral home, and then the brochure for the different coffins and everything. And you know, he thinks, boy, I really made it. But then he finds out her age is 26. Oh my God, just reeking with health, you know. Jesus.
Not much business there, really.
No, this is what I was just thinking, yeah. Give me that brochure back. You won't be needing this for 30, 40 years. Well, but you could go in there. You bring a cane and kind of hobble in, you know. What?
So what's he doing? You've got the gift of chat like this, Helen. You could do this. What's he doing?
Is he being hypnotic, Sue? He's using sort of a hypnotic way of bringing an idea to her.
It's always hypnotic. You know, when you do things unexpectedly, or you tell or a lot of stuff, or you give a lot of information, it's hypnotic. I think that most people, you know, when they experience provocative, they go into a trance.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it's confusing. You get the stuff you don't expect to hear. And there's many ways of inducing that trance, but yeah, it's hypnotic, definitely. Yeah.
What I felt was that he was going at it very tangentially, as you spoke about it, with another story.
Yes.
And the tangential method was storytelling, but through this other person's entire process, he kept making points, and then bam, he said, but you can go in there. And I thought that was interesting. So
you said he was making points. What points was he making?
As in, interesting. So I think within the story, you could get lost within the story of this other girl that he was speaking, but it wasn't that. I think he got her so hypnotic, like Dawn said, the hypnosis of being so caught up in the story, and it came like a root shock where he said, you can go in and you can plan it. And it was,
yes,
those two stories juxtaposed with each other. It was very jarring.
Yeah. 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 And GK?
I thought that he did a couple of things that I saw. One was he broke the story and then he would go back into it. And what my experience was, I was deeper into it. At that point, I was, oh, okay, I've dropped into a heavier trance on the story. And then I thought his graphic description of, well, they're pumping this in and pumping this out. I thought the point he was making is get real. You know, life is life. And, you know, you're 48 and this. And so that, I thought he was bringing her more to the story was helping her, well, helping me maybe get real about what life's all about. At some point, you're going to be on that steel table and it's over. And whatever you haven't done, you haven't done. So maybe you want to do it now. So
And
anyway, that was.
And he really associated her into that. You know, there's a tube going in this arm, it's pumping stuff in, there's a tube in that arm. So it wasn't like, you know, you're going to die someday. It was a very vivid description. It's like, you know, just think about this. How long have you got? And in the story about the character in the funeral home, what else was he doing? You got close to this, Nupur. So what was he describing, basically? Do you know, Ramesh?
So many things he was saying in that, along with the guy who makes this coffin. So they exchanged brochures. He went on to. So I don't know which piece you're asking, Sue.
Well, it's that and the rest. So he was saying, you know, plan. He was saying he was interested, she was interested. That mutual interest really got her involved.
Yes.
Gave her brochures. There was a sale on. He was giving her all the strategies for business.
Yes.
So he was telling her, this is what you do, you know, to get business, basically. Both
yes,
your
yes, yes.
your interest, the brochures, show them around, be curious about the person.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
So the whole story was a metaphor for her. And then at the end, he said, you could do this. You could jump into this. But you know that, so she, and you see her face, she was definitely in a trance. But he's embedding, you know, so in a story which was rich, you know, he embellished on what this woman was like. She was only 26, so it wasn't just like a straight story, you know, it was all kind of elaborate.
Yeah. In fact, he went on to say about exchanging cards and his cards and the business cards. Yes. Yeah.
Which is very different to saying, well, this is what you've got to do business. Just tell this story while someone's in a trance and all these elements.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I think there was a side story there as well, because earlier on, Leslie talked about not having a partner or not being in a relationship. And there was something in this story about the connection between two people. You know, he made the woman going in very attractive.
Yep.
And then the idea that the guy showed around was sort of a motive, an unsaid motive. And then he tried to point that motive out to Leslie. And he said something along the lines of, you know, when two people are talking, a man and woman, they don't always understand.
Yeah.
And I think he was embedding some idea within that to her as well.
It's amazing what people see in these stories and what that tells you about the person.
Yeah.
So, writing a story for somebody in the group is your homework. Writing a story that contains the learning for somebody in the group is the homework. And the fun of writing a story, you know, that's kind of crazy and a bit extreme, and oh, it's a bit flirty, a bit sexy, a bit rich in color. Maybe not for the Indian ladies, though. Just keep it serious for them. But with the message, with the metaphor. So I'm just wondering how we can do this. So you could actually, let's think, how should we do this, Chandana? Because we could go around the group and say, like, what would be the issue that you'd address in the story? Or we could just let you work that out, just let you decide that for yourself, what the issues are that you would like to give the person learning about. We could reveal secretly who your partner will be for the story, so that we'll send that to you separately, so you don't know at the moment, so not everybody knows who you're telling the story for. Just trying to think how, just think of the logistics of this. You know, for example, let's just take some examples. If you're writing a story for GK, for example, what do you think could be the theme of that? As an example, you don't have to go with this, but what could be the theme? Like in Leslie's case, it was about her, you know, becoming organized in relation to thinking in a business way. What could it be for GK?
A collection of bamboo trees put together.
Well, not the story, but what would be the issue that you'd be addressing?
It's the issue I was saying. So when the bamboos are together, you find a lot of clutter around it. But when you see it from distance, they're beautiful.
Okay. We do have to tell the story now. We were nearly there telling the story. So there's something about GK and his clutter. Is that the issue? I'm just trying to.
I'm going to give Venki some psychic points there, man. That was right on top of it, man. I have clutter.
You have clutter. So that's the issue. How you do it, how you tell the story. Well, Venki's just done it very succinctly, but we'll do it again tomorrow. If you were writing a story for Dawn, not the story, but what would be the issue? What's the pattern in Dawn that you could address with your story as an example?
Could I take an attempt?
Sorry, Nupur?
I could attempt.
Well, without saying what it is, what would be the issue that you
The issue would be to relinquish control.
Oh, so for Dawn to learn to relinquish control. Oh, great one. And look at her reaction.
What was that, Sue? I couldn't quite get that. What was the
It
word?
was to relinquish control, let go of control. And look at Dawn's reaction.
It's not really my reaction to that, it was how much you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching your reaction to it as well. Let's take one more. Who else? As an example, of course, that's all. So Pooja, if you were writing a story for Helen, what would be the issue that you might address? The pattern in Helen that you might address in your story?
Owning her femininity.
Ooh. Wow. Isn't it interesting what people, this is learning just itself.
I second with that. I second that with Pooja.
We're not allowed to second these things. Like, oh, let's all pile in on Helen. Okay, so you've got the idea. So all you have to do is write a story that contains the learning in relation to the point. Okay, in the way that Frank did. Yep. So it's not, you're not mentioning this person directly. You're talking about somebody else. The more real you can make it, and also at the same time, the more kind of exotic you can make the story, the more compelling that becomes. You okay with that, Vandana? I know you look serious, but I know you've got so much stuff, you know, that you can bring out when the time comes. I can't imagine what you're going to come up with. Okay, that's the homework. Anything else you think, Chandana?
No, so that's good enough. Tomorrow.
Okay. So what are you taking from today and what you're going to practice between today and tomorrow? Helen?
Well, my femininity.
Practice saying it first, yes. Femininity. And even before that was said to you, what would have been the thing that you'd take from today?
Trying to be more articulate.
Trying to be.
Being more articulate.
Okay. And how about for you, Venki?
My takeaway is not to get into provocative coaching.
Yeah, probably for you, it's like tone it down, just be loving. Yes. And Dawn?
I think I'm going to go out tonight and get some hard drugs and some alcohol.
With the desired effect of?
Relinquishing all control.
Oh, right. Okay. So we'll have some recordings to watch, not a couple of recordings as well to have a look at tomorrow, maybe, we'll see. I think that's it then. I look forward to your stories tomorrow. We'll let you know who you're writing for. We'll send that to you. And then you'll get the invite to the session tomorrow. So it'll be 2 o'clock French time. And thank you very much for that. That's such a treat for me.
So
yes, Chandana?
I just want to check with everyone that whether they are in the WhatsApp group.
I'm not in the WhatsApp group.
Do you want to be in the WhatsApp
group? Yeah. Can you join me in it, Chandra?
Okay, sure. What I will do, I will send you the invitation link through the Google group, so you can click that and join the WhatsApp group.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great.
Anybody else? Or is it just you? Yeah, Pooja? Oh, and Vandana.
Yeah.
Okay. So Vandana, Chandana will send you a link. Okay. So the WhatsApp group is for sharing learning and insights, not happy birthday wishes and irrelevant jokes, just things connected to the training, ideally. Trouble is with provocative, kind of anything goes. You could say, well, yeah, I was just being provocative.
Chandana, so there is a Provocative Coaching 722 group. Is that the one you're talking about?
No, it's not. It is actually
It's called Fluffy,
fluffy.
Provocative NLP.
Yeah, then I'm not in that group either.
Okay. You will be. Looking at Chandana's reaction.
Yeah, you'll be there.
I'll just put them all in if they're not there, Chandana. I think obviously that's the answer. Just okay, everybody. I think we'll call it a day for today. Thank you again.
Thank you, everybody.
Great, very rich learning, and great shifts as well, I perceive in you. So enjoy and keep it loving, stay sensitive and enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye, Sue.
See you tomorrow.